It is 11:30 on a Wednesday night. The blue light from your phone screen is illuminating the bedroom ceiling, and you are staring at your Commonwealth Bank app, trying to figure out how exactly $142 is supposed to stretch until your pay finally clears on Friday morning. You are mentally calculating the AGL direct debit that is scheduled to hit your account tomorrow, the half tank of premium petrol you desperately need to get your car to work for the rest of the week, and the absolute bare minimum you can spend at Woolworths to put dinner on the table without dipping into the credit card yet again. You earn decent money, you work 40 hard hours a week, sometimes a lot more when the boss demands it, and yet every single fortnight feels like a perfectly choreographed balancing act, where just one unexpected trip to the mechanic or a sudden rent increase from your landlord will bring the whole fragile house of cards crashing down. You lie there in the dark wondering how people younger than you are, seemingly buying houses and living well, while you are just trying to keep your head above water. The reason you feel like you are running on a treadmill that keeps speeding up is because you are living inside an economic system that was actively redesigned over the last decade to brutally punish wage earners. Between the Reserve Bank of Australia hiking the cash rate repeatedly to crush consumer demand, the Coles and Woolworths duopoly squeezing your grocery budget for record corporate profits, and core inflation quietly eroding the purchasing power of every single dollar you make, the game has been systematically rigged to keep you stressed and dependent. You are playing on hard mode. The fact that you are still showing up, working hard, and paying the bills means you are incredibly resilient. But sheer resilience alone will never build wealth when the underlying rules of the system are written directly against you. By the time this video finishes, you are going to know exactly which of the 7 distinct levels of family wealth you are currently standing on, and I am going to give you the exact mathematical lever you need to pull to escape your current tier and climb straight to the next one. We are going to strip away the complex financial jargon, look at the brutal reality of the Australian economy in 2026, and map out a concrete, actionable path that takes you from living paycheck to paycheck all the way to building generational wealth. To understand why climbing these wealth levels feels so completely impossible right now, we have to honestly discuss the specific forces deliberately keeping you stuck in place. First, we have the Australian Taxation Office. Because of the way our progressive tax system is structured, every time you actually manage to secure a decent pay rise just to keep up with the soaring cost of living, bracket creep ruthlessly pushes you into a higher tax bracket, meaning the government takes a significantly larger slice of your extra effort. You work noticeably harder, but your actual take-home pay barely moves the needle. Then we have the domestic housing market. Stagnant wage growth over the last 15 years has completely decoupled from skyrocketing property prices, meaning the old Australian dream of just saving a 20% deposit on a standard $80,000 salary is mathematically dead, without outside help. And finally, we have the superannuation industry, a massive $3.5 trillion behemoth, where millions of hard-working Australians are blindly paying exorbitant management fees to underperforming retail funds, effectively bleeding their future retirement wealth dry just to buy fund managers new luxury cars. You've been kept entirely in the dark about how these systems extract your wealth daily, and today we are permanently turning the lights on. The journey to absolute financial independence, which in Australia specifically means having net income producing assets of at least $1.5 million outside your primary residence, happens across 7 distinct levels, and you simply cannot skip any of them. Level 1 is financial survival. This is where you are constantly operating in the red or hovering at exactly zero in your bank account. Your entire fortnightly income is rapidly consumed by rent, basic food, transport costs, and crippling minimum debt repayments. If you are stuck here, perhaps renting a cramped unit in Brisbane or scraping by in Sydney's outer western suburbs, you are entirely dependent on your next paycheck to survive the month. The critical warning at this stage is avoiding high-interest consumer debt at all costs. A single misstep here, like taking out a payday loan or maxing out a high-interest credit card just to cover a basic car repair, can trap you in a vicious cycle for years. But if you have managed to keep your head above water without falling into toxic consumer debt spirals, you are actually showing incredible financial discipline that will serve you later. Level 2 is faux stability. At this stage, you have a tiny bit of breathing room. You drive a relatively reliable 2019 Corolla. You can afford to occasionally buy the name brand items at Coles without panicking at the checkout, and you have maybe 2 or 3 weeks of basic living expenses sitting quietly in a standard savings account. You feel relatively okay on a day-to-day basis, but you are realistically one major medical emergency or an unexpected job loss away from tumbling straight back down to level 1. This is exactly where the vast majority of Australians spend their entire adult working lives. They fatally confuse the ability to comfortably service their current lifestyle with actual, tangible wealth creation. Level 3 is the breathing room. This is the first genuinely major financial milestone in your life. At this level, you have completely eliminated all toxic consumer debt. You have cleared your lingering HEX debt to avoid the punitive indexation charges, and you have at least $10,000 sitting untouched in a high-interest savings account or a mortgage offset account. When I looked at the raw numbers on this for my own family years ago, hitting this exact level was the very first time I could actually sleep soundly through the night without cold financial anxiety suddenly waking me up. You are no longer panicking about the quarterly AGL electricity bill or the annual car registration fee because the money is already there. If you are sitting at this level right now, I need you to clearly understand that you are already financially ahead of nearly half the country. You are doing incredibly well. Level 4 is the accumulation phase. You have successfully mastered your daily cash flow, and now you are aggressively deploying your capital into the market. You are actively making voluntary pre-tax contributions to your superannuation up to the $27,500 concessional cap to legally and effectively minimize your massive tax burden to the ATO. You are consistently buying broad market ETFs on the ASX through platforms like Vanguard or BetaSharers, and you are treating your monthly investment contributions like a non-negotiable utility expense. The dangerous trap at level 4 is losing your hard-earned momentum. The market will inevitably dip, the mainstream media will aggressively panic, and the emotional temptation to pull your money out and leave it rotting in cash will be completely overwhelming. You have to stubbornly stay the course. Level 5 is the tipping point. This is the magical stage where the underlying math finally starts to do the heavy lifting for you. The reliable dividend income from your share portfolio and the interest from your savings are now generating enough passive cash flow to cover your absolute basic survival expenses. It might only be $25,000 a year, just enough to cover your basic groceries, council rates, and standard utilities. But the profound psychological shift is massive. You are no longer entirely reliant on your demanding employer to physically survive. You go to your job because you want to fund your desired lifestyle, not because you will starve in the street if you do not clock in. Level 6 is true independence. Your diversified investments now generate enough consistent income to fully replace your previous professional salary. Whether that is $90,000 or $150,000 a year in passive cash flow, your assets are producing significantly more cash than your household spends. You have officially reached the ASFA comfortable retirement standard and comfortably surpassed it. Showing up to work becomes an entirely optional activity. You own your time completely. Level 7 is generational inheritance. You have built so much enduring wealth that you cannot possibly spend it all in your natural lifetime. You are actively setting up complex family trust structures with your accountant. You are funding dedicated education bonds for your grandchildren to attend university, and you are deeply thinking about the lasting legacy you will leave behind. You have completely insulated your family bloodline from the daily economic struggles of the everyday world. But here is the dark truth that absolutely nobody in the mainstream Australian financial media wants to admit to you. Earning a massive corporate salary does not actually make you wealthy. It just makes you the ATO's absolute biggest cash cow. There are tens of thousands of households right now across this country pulling in well over $200,000 a year who are functionally completely broke. They are quietly drowning in a $1.5 million mortgage they can barely service, financing 2 expensive European cars they absolutely do not need, and sending their kids to elite private schools they cannot realistically afford, all simply to look rich to neighbours they do not even genuinely like. High income without deliberate asset accumulation is not wealth, it is just a very expensive, highly taxed hamster wheel. The real reason most hard-working Australians never make it past level 2 is not because they are bad at basic math. It is entirely because of how human psychology fundamentally works around money. We are biologically wired for social status and instant gratification. When you finally get that hard-fought pay rise, the immediate biological urge is to instantly reward yourself. We call it lifestyle creep. You upgrade the reliable car, you buy the slightly bigger house in a new estate out in Cranbourne or Kellyville, and you start dropping $200 on mindless dopamine spending at Westfield on a Saturday afternoon, because you tell yourself you have earned it. You constantly compare your messy behind-the-scenes reality to the highly curated, debt-funded highlight reels of your peers on social media. We actively avoid looking at our superannuation balances or negotiating our mortgage rates with the bank because the entire system feels overwhelmingly complex, and our brains vastly prefer the warm comfort of avoidance over the sharp friction of making hard financial decisions. Recognizing that you have fallen deeply into the scarcity mindset and that you are using consumer spending to emotionally self-soothe is painful. But the exact moment you become fully aware of this psychological trap is the exact moment it permanently loses its power over you. You are absolutely not going to just passively watch this video and do nothing. You are going to take back control of your financial life, and you are going to do it this very week. Here is exactly what you need to do. First, you are going to immediately automate your financial defense. Log into your primary banking app today and set up a completely separate savings account with a totally different institution, like UBank or Macquarie Bank, so you cannot instantly transfer the money back when you feel impulsive. Set up an automatic transfer for exactly 10% of your take-home pay to hit that separate account the very morning after your payday. Do not wait to save whatever happens to be left at the end of the fortnight, because there will never be anything left. You must aggressively pay your future self before you pay Coles, before you pay your landlord, and before you pay the ATO. Second, you are going to permanently stop bleeding exorbitant fees to your lazy super fund. This week, log into your MyGov account, securely link it to the ATO portal, and look closely at exactly what your current super fund is charging you in administrative and investment fees. If you are paying more than 1% in total fees, you are practically being robbed in broad daylight. Spend exactly 30 minutes comparing low-fee, high-growth index options from proven industry funds like Host Plus or Australian Super and initiate a full balance rollover. That single hour of boring administrative work could literally put an extra $150,000 into your final retirement balance over the next 20 years. Third, you are going to conduct a ruthless, brutal audit of your recurring monthly subscriptions. I can guarantee that you are blindly paying for multiple streaming services, unused gym memberships, or random app subscriptions that you have not actually opened in 3 months. Print out your last 30 days of physical bank statements, take a bright red pen, and aggressively cross out every single recurring charge that does not bring you measurable joy, or literally keep a roof over your head. Take that newly recovered money, even if it is only $40 a month, and redirect it immediately into your high-interest emergency buffer. True wealth is not the European cars you drive or the prestigious suburbs you live in. Wealth is the quiet, unbreakable confidence of knowing you completely own your tomorrow. If you want to keep mastering the Australian financial system and build real, enduring wealth for your family, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a strategy.